The test room was immersed in pulsating lights, the monitors frantically reflecting data while the Nyx Corporation team held its breath. The Gate of Orpheus, an arch-shaped metal structure, began to vibrate at a frequency imperceptible to human ears. Then, without warning, a purple flash filled the laboratory, and the darkness on the other side of the portal revealed a world that no one could have predicted. Dr. Iris Laurent clenched her fists, trying to keep her composure. She had expected an alien landscape, perhaps a sterile or chaotic environment, but what she saw was a distorted replica of her own test room. The walls were there, but they looked hazy, flickering as if they were made of smoke. On the floor, the shadows moved on their own, forming vaguely human figures. "Are we seeing this?" whispered Jonas Richter, standing next to Iris, his wide eyes fixed on the surreal scene. "Yes," Iris replied, mesmerized. "But what exactly are we seeing?" The portal sensors indicated that the atmosphere was compatible with human life. Iris exchanged a quick glance with Jonas. They had prepared for this possibility, but nothing could have trained them for what they were about to encounter. With a decisive nod, they both crossed the barrier. The first sensation was strange. An icy chill ran through their bodies, as if a million invisible fingers were touching them at the same time. As soon as their feet touched the other side, the distortion intensified. In the ethereal reflection of the test room, silhouettes began to emerge from the shadows. They were people, or something similar. Their features were translucent, their eyes empty, but in their gestures there was a strange longing. "Who are you people?" Jonas asked, fighting back the fear. One of the shadows stepped forward. When it opened its mouth, its voice came as a distant echo, laden with sadness and recognition. "We are the ones left behind." The chill in Iris intensified. The shadows weren't just echoes of old consciousnesses. They were memories. They were souls. And in the midst of them, a smaller form stepped forward, its silhouette more defined than the others. Iris felt the world spin. Her chest tightened and her voice failed her. "Elena." The figure stopped. Even with its body made of shadows, the expression was unmistakable. It was her daughter, the daughter who had died 5 years ago in an accident. Its spectral eyes locked onto hers, carrying a mute plea. "Mom." The voice was a trembling whisper, but real. So real that it made something inside Iris break. She took a step forward, tears burning her eyes, but Jonas held her arm tightly. "This can't be happening," he muttered. Iris ignored it. Her heart was screaming louder than her reason. But then another presence appeared. Something different. At the back of the ethereal room, distorted figures watched them. Motionless, patient, and their eyes were not empty like those of the other shadows. They glowed hungry. Elena stepped forward, holding out her hand. "Take me back, Mom." The request came with an indescribable desperation. What Iris didn't know was that opening the portal had only been the first mistake. The real danger was yet to come. The sensation was always the same. A cutting cold piercing through the skin, followed by a sudden pull. Iris and Jonas were sucked backwards by the portal's gravitational field, emerging on the other side of the laboratory with their lungs burning. The timer above the gate blinked red. There were only 15 seconds left until it closed automatically. They had reached the time limit allowed to stay in the other dimension. Jonas fell to his knees, catching his breath. He knew that every second in that world was crucial. If the allotted time was exceeded, the return would become unstable and unpredictable. "You saw," Iris murmured, still panting. "You was there. Elena was there." Jonas stood up and held her shoulders firmly. "We don't know what that was, Iris. Could just be a projection, an illusion created by that place." "No," Iris shook her head, her hands trembling. "It was real. Felt it." The laboratory was in an uproar. Ever since the Orpheus gate was activated, something seemed wrong. The sensors were picking up unknown oscillations, and there were strange reports of echoing voices in the corridors. Jonas watched Iris, worried. She hadn't been the same since she met Elena. "We need to analyze the data before any further expeditions," Jonas insisted. "We don't know what really went through that portal." Iris ignored him. Her thoughts were fixed on Elena. The thought of her daughter being trapped in that dark limbo consumed her. Alone at dawn, she accessed the portal's records and, without telling anyone, activated the passage again. As she stepped through, she felt the same icy chill as the first time. But now, the other side was different. The shadows seemed more agitated, the whispers louder. Elena appeared before her, but something in her expression was wrong. "You came." Her voice was deeper, less human. Iris hesitated, but then she felt a presence behind her. She turned and saw the distorted figures who had only been watching before. They were now advancing, their eyes glowing with an inhuman hunger. On the other side of the portal, Jonas realized that something was happening. The system had begun to fail, and the readings showed a growing anomaly. He ran to the control room, his heart racing. Closed the portal. But it was too late. The laboratory was in chaos. The portal was oscillating, beating like a heart out of rhythm. The sensors were picking up a growing anomaly. Jonas typed commands frantically, trying to stabilize the system. Inside the dark dimension, Iris felt overwhelmed by the presence around her. The shadows flickered as if they were alive. Elena stepped forward, but her eyes glowed in an inhuman way. "You shouldn't be here," said the girl, her voice a distorted whisper. Iris hesitated. Something inside her was screaming at her to run. "I've come for you, Elena," she whispered, her voice choked. The girl smiled, but it was the wrong smile. "Stay. Here we are together." The surrounding shadows moved, trying to envelop her. Iris felt a deep chill. Her heart told her that Elena was there, but her mind knew that something was very wrong. On the other side, Jonas pressed the communicator. "Iris, listen to me. We need to close the portal now." No response. He saw the readings fluctuate even more. The portal was becoming unstable. If she delayed, she would be trapped. Or worse, inside the dimension. Iris struggled against the shadows. Every step towards the portal seemed like a challenge. When Elena held out her hand, she almost gave in. But then a wave of instinct made her step back. "You're not my daughter," she murmured, her eyes watering. Elena smiled again, but now her teeth were as sharp as blades. The shadows roared. Iris turned and ran. The portal began to close. With one last effort, she jumped. Jonas activated the gravitational field reversal. The portal exploded into light and closed with a deafening bang. Iris fell to the floor of the laboratory, panting. Jonas held her, relieved. But then a shiver ran down his spine. In the reflection of the glass, shadows hovered around them. And between them, Elena was watching them. The silence in the laboratory was suffocating. Iris and Jonas remained motionless, the reflection in the glass staring back at them. Elena, or something that seemed to be her, stood there, her expression empty, her eyes as dark as the abyss itself. All around them, shadows moved as if they had a consciousness of their own. Jonas stood up slowly, checking the sensors. The data was wrong. The portal had been closed, but something else had gone through with Iris. "This can't be happening," he muttered. Iris felt a chill. Was her daughter there? Or was she just an echo of the dark entity? Elena's reflection tilted its head, its lips moving but making no sound. Then the image vanished as if it had never existed. "We need to get out of here," said Jonas, taking Iris by the arm. Before they could react, the lights flickered and the ground shook. Shadows ran down the walls, taking shape around them. The entire laboratory seemed to be folding in on itself. Jonas tried to access the controls, but the screen flashed with incomprehensible symbols. The technology seemed contaminated by the influence of the other dimension. "They're here," whispered Iris, her heart racing. The only option was to destroy everything. Jonas ran to the security panel and started the lab's self-destruct protocol. The system resisted for a moment, but then gave in. A counter appeared on the screen. 5 minutes to total collapse. The shadows advanced. Iris and Jonas ran down the corridor, dodging cables that came loose and sparks that lit up the growing darkness. Behind them, a distorted murmur echoed, like voices trying to call them back. They reached the exit seconds before the explosion. A wave of fire and energy engulfed the laboratory, disintegrating everything. The impact threw them to the ground. Silence returned. When Iris stood up, she felt an overwhelming emptiness. Everything was over. The portal, the shadows, and perhaps the only chance of finding her daughter. Jonas watched her cautiously. Something was different. Whatever had escaped with them could still be there, hiding. Iris looked up at the sky. Something inside her told her that it wasn't over. The Orpheus Gate might be destroyed, but what if there were other portals? What if that entity hadn't been defeated, only freed? The shadow of a doubt hung over them. And deep down, the feeling that the darkness was still watching them. Comment below on what you thought of this story and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss anything new. The unknown still has a lot to teach us.